If we have Amy's heart, we can save Hannah. Agree to organ donation, and if necessary, push Amy down the stairs or hit her. I will do it. In any case, give Amy's heart to Hannah. My husband demanded, make your own daughter almost die to offer her heart for my niece. Facing his outrageous requests, I felt like I was losing my mind. David and I have been married for about 5 years. Our daughter, Amy, was born a year after our wedding. From the moment I was pregnant, David showed no interest in our unborn child. When I told him I was expecting, his response was an indifferent, "Oh, is that so?" Perhaps it was due to the hormonal imbalance caused by pregnancy, but I remember shouting at David, "Why aren't you happy?" We ended up in a fight. I don't think David hates children. After all, when my sister Sarah gave birth to her daughter, Hannah, David, who was my boyfriend at the time, was so moved that he held the newborn and cried. "Babies are so small," he said through his tears. The look in his eyes as he touched Hannah's soft cheek was full of love. Yet for some reason, David seemed to dislike Amy, his own daughter, even before she was born. When we found out the gender, and I told him, "It looks like it's a girl," all he said was, "Oh." When I asked if he would attend the birth, he immediately replied, "No." Even if he didn't hate children, I thought he might be afraid of becoming a father, and I tried to accept his terrible attitude. Then Amy was born safely. She was so lovely from the first moment I saw her, and her tiny hand grasping my finger was too adorable. But David showed no interest in Amy. When Sarah visited with Hannah, who was 2 years older than Amy, David only doted on Hannah. I always wondered why. Why wouldn't David ever hold Amy? Why did he always look annoyed when Amy came near him? When I confronted him with these questions, he always answered irritably, "I'm busy with work. I can't afford to spend time on the child." David was ambitious, eager to get promoted as soon as possible. He actively took on extra work, often secluding himself in his home office to write business proposals. Perhaps work was the most important thing to David. Still, I always wished he would consider his family first. It might be selfish, but I had always wanted him to watch Amy grow up with me. Amy started kindergarten and began lively playdates with her friends every day. It often felt like I was raising her single-handedly, but I found solace in making mom friends, which somewhat eased my loneliness. When I confided in my mom friends about David, one of them, a candid and nurturing woman, suggested bluntly, "Why don't you consider divorce? Raising a child should be a shared responsibility between spouses. Being busy with work isn't a valid excuse, especially when Amy is 4 years old already. I'm surprised you've endured this for so long. Delaying decisions might hurt Amy more as she grows older. So, if you're thinking about it, sooner might be better. I hope you don't mind my input." Her words resonated deeply with me. I had been contemplating divorce myself, but I struggled with the uncertainty of whether I could manage alone and the guilt of potentially depriving Amy of her father, even if he was neglectful. So, her advice wasn't unwelcome. Instead, it felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders, urging me forward. I decided to broach the topic of divorce with David. The night I resolved to do so after Amy had drifted off to sleep, David approached me with a startling request to give Amy's heart to our niece Hannah. David had delved into organ donation research and believed it feasible for a child to undergo a transplant with parental consent. To my surprise, I learned from David, not Hannah's mother Sarah, that Hannah suffered from a severe heart condition and had limited time left. "We must act swiftly to save Hannah with Amy's heart," David urged, visibly distressed. "I need a moment," I protested, my voice rising in disbelief. "What's happening?" While I empathized with Hannah, "Why is this news coming from you?" "Because Hannah is my daughter," David confessed abruptly. I was so stunned I couldn't find my voice. Nausea churned in my stomach. Even with David standing right before me, his head in his hands against the dining table, he felt strangely distant. "What do you mean?" I managed to utter, my voice quivering. David, visibly irritated, began to explain his tumultuous situation. It appeared David had harbored feelings for Sarah, a woman a year younger than me, for quite some time. He had even proposed to her once, but Sarah chose Kyle, now her husband. Despite Sarah's flirtatious reputation, she seemed to have restrained herself since being with Kyle. However, she had apparently been meeting David in secret frequently. David revealed that Sarah opted for Kyle over him because Kyle was a civil servant. With David earning less than the average worker, his financial prospects were bleak unless he received a promotion. His fervent ambition was to ascend swiftly in his career and win Sarah over from Kyle. Sarah is raising Hannah as Kyle's child, but she vowed that if I secured a promotion and began earning more, she would leave Kyle and join me, along with Hannah. Then why did you marry me? By marrying you, I can remain close to Sarah and naturally have more chances to spend time with Hannah. You married me for such a reason. I loved David deeply, but he never truly saw me. This realization filled me with misery and frustration, and David's words only exacerbated my despair. Amy isn't my child, is she? She looks nothing like me. She must be the offspring of some unknown man. Hannah's life holds more significance than Amy's. Amy's heart should be given to Hannah, David proclaimed callously. It felt like something inside me snapped. Whether it was my love for David or my patience, I couldn't say. But the man standing before me resembled a monstrous figure. I swear I haven't betrayed you. Don't compare me to people like you. Amy is undeniably our child. Yet you're right, Amy doesn't take after you. She isn't heartless or unreasonable like you. She's incredibly kind, I retorted, my voice trembling with a mixture of hurt and anger. David's angry glare no longer intimidated me. As a mother, my resolve to protect Amy surged within me. Recognizing the danger of remaining in that house, I made the decision to leave immediately. Gathering only the essentials to avoid arousing David's suspicion, especially as he immersed himself in the project report crucial for his desired promotion to be with Sarah. I woke Amy from her slumber. She groggily asked, "What's happening?" Enveloping her in a tight embrace, I whispered, "Amy, we're saying goodbye to Dad. We're heading to Grandpa and Grandma's house. You may not see your kindergarten friends for a while, but can you be brave?" My urgency must have resonated with Amy, for she nodded in silent agreement, her voice laced with tension. Cradling Amy in my arms, I slipped out of the house silently and dashed towards the train station. Though I briefly considered taking the car, I dismissed the idea, fearing David might demand its return. Once aboard the train, Amy, exhausted, drifted off to sleep, and we reached the vicinity of my parents' home just before the last train departed. Ignoring the barrage of calls and messages from David, who undoubtedly noticed our absence, I pressed the intercom at my parents' house. Startled but alert, my parents answered, questioning what had occurred. However, I requested to settle Amy first. After tucking Amy into bed upstairs, I divulged the situation to my parents. I confessed my intention to sever ties with David. Shocked by David's callousness and dismayed to learn of Sarah's deceit, they empathized with my plight. No parent would tolerate such betrayal. Concerned for Amy's safety, they graciously offered us refuge in their home. The following day dawned, finding us restless yet facing the morning nonetheless. Amy, seemingly unaware of the gravity of our situation, greeted the day with boundless joy upon seeing her grandparents. Observing my parents' affectionate doting on Amy, I recalled the words of a friend. You should divorce him as soon as possible. Reflecting on her advice, I realized she was right. It dawned on me that David might have been plotting against Amy without my knowledge, a chilling thought that sent shivers down my spine. Ignoring David's incessant attempts to reach me, I composed a message. I will be initiating divorce proceedings through legal channels. You are to have no further contact with Amy. Shortly after sending the message, I received a call from David's parents. What's happening? David just informed us out of the blue that you two were getting divorced. Is it true that an affair caused this, and Amy isn't biologically related to David? To counter David's attempts to enlist his parents' support and regain custody of Amy, I decided to reveal everything to them. Their initial disbelief prompted me to extend an invitation for them to join us at my parents' house that very day. Given their proximity, they agreed to come over. That evening, with my mother tending to Amy, I found myself in the living room alongside Sarah, Kyle, my father, and David's parents. Sarah appeared uneasy, while Kyle's demeanor betrayed his simmering anger. I had already briefed Kyle over the phone about the previous day's events and David's intentions, which likely fueled his visible frustration with Sarah. So, Hannah isn't my daughter after all, is she? It's true that David intended to use Amy's heart to save Hannah, isn't it? Kyle's voice rang out, cutting through the tense silence. Sarah, who had been nervously biting her lip, finally broke down into tears under Kyle's relentless questioning. Yes, but As Sarah's emotions spilled over, her demeanor transformed into something indescribably ugly. Despite my father and me being present, she began to speak as though she were a tragic heroine. I wanted to save Hannah. That's why I approached David about Amy's heart. As a mother, isn't it only natural? How can you not understand the instinct to protect your own child? Is it because Kyle and Hannah aren't biologically connected that you can't grasp it? Despite revealing her own infidelity, Sarah played the victim, her tears flowing freely. Kyle let out a deep sigh. Though his clenched fist trembled with barely contained anger, he made a concerted effort to speak calmly. I have always loved and treated Hannah as my own daughter. When I learned that Hannah is Sarah and David's child, it was confusing, but my love for Hannah hasn't wavered. If there was a way to cure her illness, I'd do anything. But sacrificing Amy's life, to go to such extremes to save Hannah, you and David are beyond comprehension. Sarah, under the weight of Kyle's accusations, broke down into loud sobs. I'm so sorry. Watching my father offer a heartfelt apology to Kyle was gut-wrenching. David's parents, who had been listening in disbelief, joined my father in expressing profound regret to Kyle and me. Our foolish son, we deeply apologize. My father-in-law's voice quivered with remorse, underscoring the gravity of Sarah and David's transgressions. With Sarah's admission of her affair, the purpose of the meeting to ascertain the truth was fulfilled. As Kyle declared, I will divorce Sarah, and rose to leave, Sarah cried out, wait, how am I supposed to go on? Who will pay for Hannah's treatment? Just as I heard a car pulling into the garage, a realization struck me. David wasn't supposed to be here. The thought of Amy's safety flashed through my mind, but David must have deduced that my only refuge would be my parents' home. As David intruded into our sanctuary, it dawned on him that his transgressions had been laid bare, evidenced by his parents' remorseful gestures towards Kyle and me, and Sarah's tearful embrace of Kyle. His flushed face drained of color in an instant, yet even amidst the tension, he had the audacity to inquire, "Where's Amy?" Without hesitation, I rose to my feet and delivered a resounding slap across his cheek. Hannah is blameless. While I sympathize with her illness, I'll never forgive you for endangering Amy. David, cradling his steaming cheek, appeared taken aback by my outburst. I had always considered myself a calm individual, unaware of the depth of emotions simmering within me. Fueled by a surge of anger, I found myself charging towards David. You're the only one guilty of infidelity. Amy is unequivocally our daughter. It's you and Sarah who have sunk to the lowest depths of humanity. Don't assume everyone is as morally bankrupt as you. My father's timely intervention halted my impulsive rush, allowing me to regain some semblance of composure. David, reeling from my verbal assault, exchanged bewildered glances with Sarah. Dislodged from Kyle's embrace, I stood alone, visibly shaken. David, I'm filing for divorce from Sarah. If you still wish to be with her, that's your choice. But know this, I'll never surrender custody of Hannah to monsters like you. Kyle's harsh, almost cursing tone seemed to instill fear in both Sarah and David. Consequently, they were expelled from their homes and disowned by their parents. Through legal channels, Kyle initiated divorce proceedings against Sarah and successfully gained custody of Hannah. It became apparent that Sarah was frequently absent, leaving most of the caregiving responsibilities to Kyle, who took an extended leave from work to care for Hannah. Likewise, I sought divorce from David with the assistance of a lawyer. In response, David sent a venomous text expressing his intent to marry Sarah. However, despite their plans, Sarah and David never tied the knot. Their parents severed all ties with Sarah, leading to her eventual mental breakdown and hospitalization. Despite her infidelity, it became evident that Sarah harbored genuine affection for Hannah. The inability to see her daughter shattered Sarah's resolve. Kyle, in a moment of disdain, remarked, "She used to complain about the hassle of caring for her," a sentiment I found myself echoing. Amy and I have found solace in the tranquility of my parents' home. At her new daycare, Amy has blossomed, making new friends and thriving in health and vitality. I maintain regular contact with Kyle, who informs me that Hannah is scheduled for a heart transplant operation. When we visited Hannah, she greeted us with a sweet smile and whispered to Amy, "After the surgery, we'll have so much fun together." Kyle and I have weathered our share of hardships, but we're now determined to raise our children with care and responsibility. As two single parents, we forged a bond of support and commitment. I can't help but smile, envisioning the future where Hannah and Amy frolic together in joy.